Hi everyone, I'm Alister Benn and you're watching Expressive Photography. Now, this is the third video that I'm making from the recent Iceland trip with Adam Gibbs, Thomas Heaton, and our guide, the incredible Thor, who runs Thor Photography. Now, it'll be nearly 3 weeks. In fact, it'll be 3 weeks exactly by the time this video is published on Sunday. And it's giving me some time to reflect and think about what the trip meant and what the images meant. And today I want to talk to you about post-minimalism, not minimalism, post-minimalism. Because where we are with photography, as we are with many different things in life, is we're confined by labels, we're confined by confinement. And where I want to move to is a place where we're unconstrained, we're free to do what we want, we're free to explore the world as we want, we're free to make the photographs that we want, and we're free to live the life that we want. Now, the location that we're looking at today is should be familiar to anybody who's just watched Thomas Heaton's video that came out on Wednesday. We ended up about 40 minutes from where we were camping in the Southern Highlands. And unlike showing all the other things that Tom is looking at and some of the stuff that Adam has been posting, I want to cut through some of that stuff to get to what I was seeing myself. Now, this is the shot similar in style to the one that Tom was taking. This was where the light was hitting. We had this nice pointy peak, and yeah, you know, it's a very pretty area. One of the things I was reflecting on today, and if I just get my notes, today is my 19,605th day of being alive. And when I was talking about this to Anne, she was saying, well, that's just a meaningless number, but it's not a meaningless number. It's important to me. And the photographs that I'm showing you here are from another day of my life. But the images represent to me, as I've said in previous videos, moments where I was alive and engaged and focused and present and just seeing the world. Now, something I've realized a lot is that one of the things about photography is it allows us to experience the world not from our own perception, but from an altered state of perception. Because if you think about it, 50 millimeters, the equivalent focal length of 50 millimeters on a 35mm frame, that is what's called a normal lens. And it's called a normal lens because that's the magnification that we see the world. The visual relationships between things at 50 millimeters is how we experience them. So this photograph here is not 50 millimeters. This is 220 millimeters. So I can't experience the world at 220 millimeters. I see everything at 50 mil. So where I am with my photography, we talk about minimalism or simplification. And in essence, what that means is stripping the landscape down from its big picture to small, little, intimate parts of it. Now, last night, which was Wednesday, I'm recording this on the Thursday, I took part in one of the Out of Chicago deep dive previews. It was like a panel discussion. And the question was, what does landscape photography mean to us? And there was 8 professional photographers from around the world, a beautiful bunch of people. And we all talked about what landscape photography meant to us. And some of you would have seen that. Now, for me, landscape photography is about being present. It's about experiencing things, being fascinated with things. And one of the reasons I shoot so much with a long lens, funnily enough, this is also 220 millimeters. There's a trend forming. It's me isolating bits of the world that are fascinating to me. Now, at the time of photographing them, I am not thinking about that needs to be there and this needs to be here. I run on feel. I'm just fascinated. I see compositions. I don't look for compositions. I feel compositions. I don't seek compositions. I recognize compositions. Now, something I'm going to come on to a lot in the next 12 months is how to translate moments of engagement into photographs. because what we're doing here is we're gathering data, we're sketching the world. These are not final photographs in the same sense, perhaps, that a film slide is probably a bit more final. When we have these images, each one of them is just a little snapshot in time where I saw something that fascinated me. Now, if I take this one as an example, the side light, and this is about 11 o'clock at night or something like that in the Icelandic summer, the way the light was skimming over this heavily eroded surface, for me, was a fascinating thing. But it's not a final photograph. As we can see, as I take my beautiful preset off in Lightroom, it disappears. But if I start looking at contrast and seeing some of the different things that are lying in this frame, and I may want to crop that in a little bit from that side. Actually, I kind of like that bit. There's no such thing as a perfect crop. Every single one of them is different, but that one feels all right. Now, I could process this image any number of different ways, and how it becomes processed is ultimately a function of who I am sat here right now. Now, I just have to look at that to realize that it got a little bit on the green side. So it's a case of fine-tuning that color. Nothing has more impact than temperature and tint on how an image feels. But looking at all these little isolated bits of the landscape, I was just fascinated by this thing. It was just so incongruous. This, ancient, a few tens of millions of years old lava, and then there's this little snow crater, just a last remnant of the ancient snow that fell last winter. Whether this is interesting to anybody else or not is completely meaningless. It doesn't matter to me. But this image does mean something to me. This was quite late. This is just before we left, and it was this final little hint of light that just came onto this peak. And when I look down the valley here, and this is also 220 millimeters. Isn't that spooky? So that's the third or fourth image that's 220 mil. I need to buy a 220 mil lens. But I've worked this a little bit. And for me, it's the type of image that I could certainly put a lot of love into. And the more contrast we bring into it, then obviously the more kind of dynamic it's going to get. There's a little hot spot. It's not too bad. No, there's no hot spots, so I don't need to worry about that. This color is so rich and it's so evocative of the Icelandic summer. This rich, mossy green, yellowy, and obviously with the warm tones. The way it juxtaposes with the cooler clouds, there was no warmth in the clouds at all. I like that, this warm to cool transition. Now, what does post-minimalism mean? This is what I started talking about earlier. I'm not seeing the world at 50 millimeters. I'm seeing the world at 220 millimeters, and that allows me to be fascinated. Post-minimalism isn't a label. It's not a new thing. It's basically saying, this is where you get to when you stop labeling. I'm not interested in minimalism. I'm not interested in big picture. I'm not interested in small scenes. Any label is just meaningless, and it creates this buzz around a label rather than the important thing, which is that today is my 19,605th day of existence. And on this particular day, I was fascinated by that scene. And I remember that sense of joy and wonder and glory and just breathing and looking at this landscape and thinking, yes, I feel very fortunate and lucky to be here. The image I also like. I think there's structure to it, there's geometry, there's luminosity, there's contrast, there's color, and there's some atmosphere. It has the triggers that I talk about in many of my videos. So for me, it's a successful photograph of a very successful life moment. And post minimalism, like I said, isn't a label. It's where I am now, where it's it's about the experience, it's about personal development. And something I want to talk about in future videos is, where do I go from here? What's my growth path as a photographer? And I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm curious about making videos that we go forward together and say, okay, well, what happens if I just cut loose and ignore rules and labels and all of this other conventional stuff? What happens if you just free your mind and free yourself with your equipment? So that's something interesting to be moving forward to. I know today's been a bit of there's not been a lot of sort of processing or anything like that, but the point that I'm making is so important that I really just want to emphasize how important it is. It's the living that's important. It doesn't matter what day of your life you are on. It is so important that you appreciate it for what it is. It's so easy to live in the past and look at these photographs as if they're the most important thing on earth. What's important is today and talking to you guys. And I don't plan my videos ahead on a Monday or something like that. I'm sat here on the Thursday morning recording this, and I didn't know what I was going to talk to you guys about, but it's about what I'm passionate about right now. When I woke up this morning, what do I want to talk about? And that's why I hopefully can deliver something with a bit of passion and it feels fresh. I hope, as normal, you find this stuff and my ranting to be of some value to you. I hope you get something from these videos. If so, please get into the comments section. Tell me why you're a landscape photographer. Tell me what it is that makes you engaged with the world, and tell me what it is that photography means to you. What does photography bring to your life? Please dive into the comments section. I'd be really interested to hear your views and opinions, as always. Right, a couple of short announcements. This is Sunday now where this is going live. Yesterday I was involved with TJ Thorne and the Out of Chicago thing, so I hope it went well. Now, I was going to be posting a Vision and Light episode this coming Wednesday with Adam Gibbs, Tom Heaton and myself talking about this trip. We've had some terrible technical difficulties. The PC that Anne has been using to edit all of her videos, we've had a massive crash, big problems. So it's had to go back to the store to get a fix. So we've been sharing my iMac Pro, and I've been trying to work on my MacBook Pro, and it's just been getting really messy this week. So rather than trying to force through the video for Wednesday, we'll be postponing that to the week after. So no Vision and Light this coming Wednesday, but we will be back next Sunday with another Iceland video. What else is happening? That's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you this time next week. Cheers all, and bye from Adam too. He's got a new perch.